What if the pistol you buy today is still running flawlessly when your kids are grown, and their kids are old enough to shoot it too? In a world where most gear feels disposable and trends change every few years, truly immortal handguns are incredibly rare. These are not range toys, not hype-driven releases, and not Safe Queen collectibles. These are pistols forged for war, refined through decades of real use, and trusted when failure was not an option. Some survived world wars, some endured torture tests. Others were carried daily by the most elite professionals on the planet. Every gun on this list earned its reputation the hard way, through round counts that would destroy lesser designs. Today, we are counting down the 10 pistols you will never regret buying. Handguns built to last forever.
Welcome Pistol Line X19.
Number 1, the 1911. When people talk about a handgun that was truly built to last forever, this is the pistol everything else gets measured against, whether they admit it or not. The 1911 is not famous because of marketing, trends, or nostalgia. It earned its reputation the hard way, through real use, real combat, and real abuse over more than a century. For 74 consecutive years, it served as the official sidearm of the United States Armed Forces, which is a service life no modern pistol even comes close to matching. A Marine carrying a 1911 in the trenches of World War I could realistically pass that same handgun to his son fighting in World War II, and then to his grandson deployed in Vietnam. 3 generations, 3 wars, 1 pistol, still functioning exactly as intended. What makes the 1911 so enduring starts with its construction philosophy. This is an all-steel handgun, frame and slide, built at a time when durability mattered more than weight savings or manufacturing shortcuts. An unloaded weight of roughly 2.5 pounds is not an accident or a drawback. That mass absorbs recoil, reduces battering on internal components, and spreads stress evenly across the gun. Over time, that translates directly into longevity. Parts wear slower, tolerances stay consistent, and the pistol maintains its reliability even after tens of thousands of rounds. This is one of the few handguns ever designed with the expectation that it would see constant, hard use for decades. The ergonomics are another reason the 1911 refuses to fade away. The grip angle feels natural for a wide range of shooters, allowing the pistol to point instinctively without conscious adjustment. The single-action trigger is still widely considered one of the best fighting triggers ever put into a service handgun. It is short, clean, and predictable, which makes accurate shooting easier under stress. That matters in combat, but it also matters on the range, where consistency builds confidence. Many shooters discover that once they learn to run a 1911 properly, other pistols feel vague or mushy by comparison. Chambered most commonly in .45 automatic Colt pistol ammunition, the 1911 was designed around a cartridge that delivers authority without extreme pressure. That balance is important. You are not forcing the platform to operate at the edge of its mechanical limits just to function. When built correctly, a 1911 runs comfortably within its design envelope, which is a major reason so many examples have survived over 100 years. Routine maintenance is straightforward. Springs wear and get replaced, magazines get refreshed, and the pistol keeps going. It is not unusual to encounter 1911s with round counts well into the tens of thousands that still lock up tightly and shoot accurately. That does not mean the 1911 is perfect, and part of respecting this platform is being honest about its downsides. It is heavier than most modern polymer pistols, and that weight is noticeable during all-day carry. Standard magazine capacity is lower than double-stack designs, usually 7 or 8 rounds depending on the magazine. The 1911 also rewards quality manufacturing. A poorly made example can be frustrating, while a well-built one feels smooth, solid, and confidence-inspiring. This is not a pistol where buying the cheapest option is a good idea. It shines when craftsmanship and proper fitting are part of the equation. In terms of price, a solid, reliable production 1911 from a reputable manufacturer generally starts around $800 and goes up from there based on materials, features, and fit. Higher-end models can climb well past that, but they also tend to deliver exceptional longevity and shootability. Original United States government-issue pistols occupy a completely different category. They are no longer just firearms. They are historical heirlooms, often valued as much for their story as their function. Even so, a modern production 1911, properly maintained, is something you can realistically pass down and expect to still run flawlessly decades later. That is why the 1911 earns the #1 spot on this list. It is not simply reliable. It defined what reliability looks like in a fighting handgun. In a world filled with disposable gear and short product cycles, the 1911 stands apart as a pistol built with the assumption that it would outlast its original owner. If there is such a thing as a handgun, you will never regret buying one that was genuinely built to last forever. This is it. Number 2, Browning High Power. If number 1 is the Patriarch, then number 2 is the World Traveler. The Browning High Power is one of those pistols that quietly shaped the modern handgun landscape without ever demanding the spotlight. It did not rely on brute force history like the 1911, and it did not stay tied to one nation or one doctrine. Instead, it proved its value everywhere, in the hands of just about everyone. Designed by John Moses Browning and finalized by Dieudonné Save, the High Power represents the moment when handgun design leaped forward and never looked back. Introduced in 1935, the High Power changed the rules almost overnight. At a time when most military pistols were still running single-stack magazines with limited capacity, the High Power brought a staggered magazine holding 13 rounds of 9mm ammunition. That was revolutionary. It instantly made older service pistols feel outdated and forced militaries around the world to rethink what a fighting handgun should be. Capacity mattered, reloads mattered, and sustained fire mattered. The High Power delivered all of that without sacrificing reliability. What makes the High Power so special is not just what it introduced, but how long it stayed relevant. This pistol was used by both Allied and Axis forces during World War II, which is almost unheard of. After the war, its adoption only expanded. More than 50 countries officially issued the High Power as a military or police sidearm. That level of global trust does not happen by accident. It happens because the gun works consistently across climates, maintenance standards, and training levels. From European armies to Middle Eastern forces, from jungles to deserts, the High Power built a reputation as a pistol that simply refuses to quit. Mechanically, the High Power strikes a near-perfect balance. It is an all-steel pistol, which gives it durability and a reassuring sense of solidity. But it is not excessively heavy. Unloaded, it typically weighs just over 2 pounds, making it easier to carry for extended periods than some heavier service pistols. The grip, despite accommodating a double-stack magazine, remains surprisingly slim. Many shooters find it fits the hand better than newer high-capacity designs. And that comfort translates directly into shootability. The pistol points naturally, recoils smoothly, and stays controllable even during long strings of fire. Reliability is where the High Power earns its place on this list. It was designed to run standard pressure 9mm ammunition all day, every day, without drama. The operating system is simple, proven, and forgiving. With basic maintenance, these pistols routinely reach round counts that would retire lesser designs. It is not uncommon to encounter High Powers that have been in continuous service for decades, still locking up solidly and still feeding reliably. That kind of longevity is not theoretical. It has been proven on every continent. Of course, like any classic design, the High Power has its quirks. The trigger is often criticized, especially on older models equipped with a magazine disconnect safety. That feature can make the trigger feel heavier and less refined than it otherwise would. Sights on vintage examples are also smaller by modern standards, reflecting the era in which the pistol was designed. But these are not deal breakers. They are reminders that the High Power comes from a time when durability and function mattered more than creature comforts. Many modern reproductions address these issues while preserving the core design. In terms of cost, original Belgian-made Browning High Powers have become highly sought-after collector pieces, often commanding prices from $800 to well over $2,000, depending on condition and provenance. Modern reproductions, however, are still widely available at more accessible prices, allowing shooters to experience the design without treating it like a museum piece. Regardless of version, the core value remains the same. You are buying into a platform with nearly 90 years of proven service behind it. That is why the Browning High Power sits confidently at number 2. It is more than just reliable. It is one of the most influential handguns ever created. It armed nations, defined military doctrine, and proved that high capacity and long-term durability could coexist in a single, elegant design. If you are looking for a pistol you can buy once, trust completely, and realistically pass down to the next generation, the high power is exactly that kind of firearm. Number 3. Beretta 92 FS. If number 1 is the foundation and number 2 is the global pioneer, then number 3 is the professional workhorse that proved reliability at an industrial scale. The Beretta 92 FS is not a cult classic, and it is not romanticized in quite the same way as older steel legends. Instead, it earned its place through relentless, everyday service. This is the pistol that did not just pass military testing. It became the standard sidearm of the most powerful armed force on the planet and stayed there for decades. Known to the United States military as the M9, the Beretta 92 FS served as the primary service pistol for more than 30 years. That kind of longevity is rare in modern military procurement, where equipment is constantly replaced, upgraded, or phased out. A soldier carrying an M9 during Operation Desert Storm could realistically have handed down the same model to another service member deploying to Afghanistan decades later. Few pistols can claim that kind of uninterrupted frontline relevance. A big reason for that reputation lies in the Beretta's unique mechanical design. The open-top slide is the pistol's most recognizable feature, and it is not there for looks. By removing the traditional slide roof, Beretta dramatically reduced the chances of stovepipe malfunctions. Spent casings have nowhere to get trapped. Dirt, sand, and debris are far more likely to fall away from the action instead of being dragged through it. In real-world conditions, especially harsh environments, that design choice matters. It turns the pistol into something that keeps running even when maintenance is less than perfect. The locking system also plays a major role in the 92 FS's durability. Instead of a tilting barrel, the pistol uses a falling locking block that allows the barrel to remain more level during cycling. This reduces stress on the frame and slide over time and contributes to the pistol's famously smooth recoil impulse. Combined with the gun's weight, which comes in at a little over 2 pounds unloaded, the Beretta is extremely controllable. Recoil is soft, follow-up shots are fast, and extended range sessions are easy on both the shooter and the gun itself. Chambered in 9mm ammunition, the Beretta 92 FS was built to run standard military loads day in and day out. It feeds reliably, extracts consistently, and tolerates high round counts without complaint. Many service pistols were expected to be replaced after a certain service life. The Beretta routinely exceeded those expectations. Well-maintained examples with tens of thousands of rounds are common, and many continue to function well beyond that with basic parts replacement. Springs and locking blocks are wear items, but the core of the pistol is built to endure. Ergonomically, the 92 FS is a product of its era, and that comes with both strengths and weaknesses. The grip is large, especially for shooters with smaller hands. That is the trade-off for a double-stack magazine that holds 15 rounds in standard configuration. On the other hand, the grip shape is comfortable and well contoured, and the pistol balances beautifully in the hand. The long sight radius, thanks to the full-size slide and barrel, makes the gun easy to shoot accurately, even for newer shooters. The trigger system reflects its military roots. The double-action first pull is long and deliberate, followed by lighter single-action shots. Some shooters love this system, appreciating the added margin of safety. Others prefer a consistent trigger pull. Either way, it is predictable, robust, and proven under stress. The manual safety and decocker are also often debated, but again, this is a pistol designed around institutional use, where redundancy and safety under adverse conditions matter more than speed alone. In terms of price, the Beretta 92 FS remains one of the best values among proven service pistols. New commercial models typically sell in the range of $650 to $800 depending on configuration. Military surplus M9 pistols are often available for less, offering shooters a chance to own a real piece of service history at a reasonable cost. Few firearms offer that combination of pedigree and accessibility. That is why the Beretta 92 FS earns the number 3 position. It may not be the oldest design on this list, but it is one of the most thoroughly proven. It served across continents, climates, and conflicts without losing the trust of the people who depended on it. Built for war, refined through decades of service, and still relevant today, the Beretta 92 FS is exactly the kind of pistol you buy once and never regret. Number 4. Sig Sauer P226. If number 3 proved what reliability looks like when scaled across an entire military, then number 4 shows what happens when reliability is judged by the people who cannot afford even a single failure. The Sig Sauer P226 is not a pistol that became legendary because it was cheap, trendy, or easy to sell. It became legendary because when elite units were given the freedom to choose whatever sidearm they wanted, this is the one they trusted their lives to. The story of the P226 really begins in the 1980s, during the United States military handgun trials. These tests were intentionally brutal, designed to expose weaknesses in design, materials, and long-term durability. Pistols were subjected to extreme round counts, harsh environmental conditions, and repeated abuse that simulated real combat use. Out of all the competitors, only 2 pistols truly survived the process without significant issues. One was the Beretta. The other was the Sig Sauer P226. The Beretta won the contract largely on price, but the results told a deeper story. When the United States Navy SEALs reviewed the data, they ignored cost entirely and selected the P226 for their own use. That decision alone cemented the pistol's reputation. What makes the P226 so durable starts with how it is engineered. Unlike many pistols from the same era that relied on stamped or folded steel slides, the P226 uses a slide that is milled from a solid block of stainless steel. That is a slower, more expensive manufacturing process, but it produces a slide that is exceptionally strong and resistant to long-term wear. The frame is alloy, striking a careful balance between strength and weight. Unloaded, the pistol weighs just over 2 pounds, giving it a solid, reassuring presence without becoming burdensome for duty carry. Chambered most commonly in 9mm ammunition, the P226 was designed to handle sustained high round counts without being pushed to its mechanical limits. It feeds smoothly, extracts consistently, and cycles with a soft, controlled recoil impulse that reduces stress on internal components. Over time, that matters. This is why it is not unusual to encounter service pistols with tens of thousands of rounds that are still running reliably with nothing more than routine maintenance. Springs get replaced, parts get inspected, and the gun just keeps doing its job. One of the most underrated aspects of the P226 is how predictable it feels when shooting. The balance is excellent, the bore axis is well controlled, and the pistol tracks smoothly during recoil. That predictability builds confidence, especially under pressure. The double-action, single-action trigger system reflects the pistol's professional roots. The first pull is long and deliberate, followed by lighter, shorter, single-action pulls. Some shooters prefer striker-fired simplicity, but many professionals value the added control and safety margin this system provides. With training, the transition becomes second nature, and the trigger becomes an asset rather than a drawback. Accuracy has always been one of the P226's defining strengths. Tight tolerances, excellent barrel fit, and a generous sight radius make it easy to shoot well. This is not a pistol that fights the shooter. It rewards good fundamentals and remains consistent even during rapid fire or extended range sessions. That consistency is one of the reasons it earns such loyalty among military and law enforcement units worldwide. The P226 is not without compromises, and those compromises are worth acknowledging. It is a full-size pistol, which makes it less convenient for concealed carry compared to modern compact designs. The metal construction means it will never be as light as polymer alternatives. The double-action trigger requires practice to master, especially for shooters accustomed to a single consistent trigger pull. But none of these are flaws. They are deliberate design choices made in service of durability, control, and long-term reliability. In terms of price, new Sig Sauer P226 pistols typically fall in the range of $900 to $1,200, depending on configuration and finish. That places it firmly in the premium category. However, the real value often lies in the police trade-in market. These pistols may show cosmetic wear from years of carry, but mechanically they are usually excellent. They were built to be carried daily, trained with regularly, and trusted completely. Buying one is not about owning something pretty. It is about owning something proven. That is why the Sig Sauer P226 earns its place at number 4. This is not a pistol that asks you to trust marketing claims or theoretical durability. It asks you to trust decades of real-world use by some of the most demanding professionals on the planet. Built without compromise, refined through constant service, and still respected today, the P226 is exactly the kind of handgun you buy once and never regret owning. Number 5, CZ75. If number 4 represents elite selection under extreme pressure, then number 5 represents something just as impressive in a quieter, more enduring way. A design that proved itself so fundamentally right that the entire world copied it. The CZ75 is not a pistol that relies on one famous contract or one elite unit to justify its reputation. Instead, it earned its place through sheer mechanical brilliance and decades of uninterrupted service across borders, ideologies, and generations. The CZ75 was born behind the Iron Curtain during the Cold War, in a place where practicality mattered far more than marketing. Czechoslovak engineers were not trying to impress Western buyers or chase trends. They were building a military sidearm that had to work indefinitely with minimal support. The result was a pistol so well designed that even countries that could not officially import it still found ways to copy it. That alone should tell you how effective the design really was. The heart of the CZ75's durability lies in its frame and slide relationship. Unlike most semi-automatic pistols, where the slide rides on the outside of the frame rails, the CZ75 slide runs inside the frame. This seemingly small design choice has enormous consequences. It creates a tighter, stronger lockup, lowers the bore axis, and reduces muzzle flip. Over time, it also spreads recoil forces more evenly across the frame, reducing stress and wear. The result is a pistol that shoots softly, tracks smoothly, and stays mechanically tight even after very high round counts. This is an all-steel pistol, and it feels like one the moment you pick it up. Unloaded, the CZ75 typically weighs a little over 2 pounds, giving it a planted, reassuring feel that polymer pistols simply cannot replicate. That weight helps absorb recoil and contributes directly to long-term durability. The gun feels solid, not hollow, and that solidity translates into confidence, especially during extended shooting sessions. It is the kind of pistol that feels better the more you shoot it. Chambered in 9mm ammunition, the CZ75 was designed to handle sustained military use without drama. It feeds reliably, extracts cleanly, and runs comfortably within its mechanical limits. This is not a design that depends on tight tolerances or delicate parts to function. It is forgiving, robust, and tolerant of imperfect maintenance. That is why CZ75 pattern pistols have seen service with military and police forces around the world for decades, often in environments far less forgiving than a clean shooting range. Accuracy is another area where the CZ75 quietly excels. The low bore axis, long sight radius, and solid barrel fit make it easy to shoot well. Many shooters discover that they shoot the CZ75 more accurately than other service pistols, even without trying. The pistol settles naturally between shots, allowing fast, controlled follow-up fire. That predictability builds trust, and trust is what turns a good pistol into one you never want to sell. The trigger system, typically double action and single action, reflects the pistol's military roots. The double action pull is smooth and deliberate, while the single action pull is crisp and controllable. It may not feel as refined out of the box as a custom competition trigger, but it improves with use and responds well to proper tuning. More importantly, it is durable. This is a trigger system designed to survive decades of service, not just impress on the first range trip. Like any classic design, the CZ75 has its trade-offs. The all-steel construction makes it heavier than modern polymer pistols, which can matter for daily carry. The slide is smaller and sits lower in the frame, which some shooters find slightly harder to manipulate, especially under stress. But these are minor considerations when weighed against the pistol's durability, shootability, and long-term reliability. In terms of price, the CZ75 remains one of the best values in this entire list. New production models typically sell in the range of $600 to $750, depending on configuration. Military surplus and older models can often be found for less, offering extraordinary value for a pistol with this level of pedigree. Few handguns offer this combination of proven reliability, shootability, and affordability. That is why the CZ75 earns the number 5 position. It is not flashy, and it does not demand attention. Instead, it earns respect quietly, one magazine at a time. This is a pistol built on sound engineering rather than hype, designed to endure rather than impress. If you want a handgun you can buy, shoot hard, trust completely, and still pass down to the next generation, the CZ75 is exactly that kind of pistol. Number 6. Glock 17. If number 5 proves how brilliant steel engineering can stand the test of time, then number 6 proves something just as important in a completely different way. That simplicity, when done right, can be just as immortal. The Glock 17 is the pistol that did not slowly earn respect over decades of tradition. It kicked the door open and forced the entire industry to rethink what reliability actually means. Love it or hate it, this is the handgun that reset the baseline for modern durability. When the Glock 17 first appeared in the early 1980s, it looked almost unfinished compared to the steel pistols of the era. Polymer frame, blocky slide, no external safeties, and a striker-fired system that many shooters did not trust at the time. But the genius of the Glock was never about looks. It was about reducing failure points. The original Glock design used just 34 parts. Fewer parts means fewer things that can break, fewer tolerances stacking against each other, and fewer opportunities for mechanical failure over time. That philosophy is at the core of why the Glock 17 became what it is today. The polymer frame plays a much bigger role than people often realize. Instead of being rigid like steel, it flexes slightly under recoil, absorbing stress that would otherwise be transferred directly into the slide and frame rails. Over tens of thousands of rounds, that flexibility matters. It reduces cracking, slows wear, and allows the pistol to survive abuse that would permanently damage more traditional designs. Combined with the hardened steel slide and its corrosion-resistant surface treatment, the Glock 17 became famously resistant to neglect, sweat, moisture, and harsh environments. Chambered in 9mm ammunition, the Glock 17 was designed to run everything from mild training loads to hotter-duty ammunition without adjustment. It feeds reliably, extracts aggressively, and ejects with authority. Stories of Glock pistols being frozen in ice, buried in mud, submerged in water, or run over by vehicles are not marketing myths. They are demonstrations of a design that simply does not care about conditions. The gun either has ammunition in the magazine, or it does not. Everything else is secondary. One of the reasons the Glock 17 achieved global adoption is its consistency. Every trigger pull feels the same. There is no double action to single action transition, no manual safety to forget under stress. The trigger is not refined or elegant, but it is predictable, and predictability saves lives. Under pressure, simple systems win. That is why police and military forces around the world embraced the Glock 17 as a duty pistol and never looked back. Accuracy has never been a weakness of the Glock 17, even if it is not always celebrated for it. The low-bore axis, light slide mass, and consistent trigger allow shooters to deliver fast, repeatable hits. It may not feel as refined as an all-steel pistol, but it shoots flatter than many people expect and stays controllable during long strings of fire. More importantly, it maintains that performance even when dirty or poorly maintained, which is exactly what a duty pistol is supposed to do. Of course, the Glock 17 is not without downsides. The grip angle does not agree with every shooter, and the factory trigger feel is often described as utilitarian at best. The polymer frame lacks the emotional appeal of steel, and some shooters simply never connect with it on that level. But these are subjective complaints, not functional ones. From a mechanical standpoint, the Glock 17 does exactly what it promises, with minimal fuss and maximum consistency. In terms of cost, the Glock 17 remains one of the most accessible pistols on this list. New examples typically sell in the range of $550 to $650. Even more compelling is the police trade-in market, where proven duty pistols can often be found for under $500. These guns may show external wear, but internally they are usually barely broken in. Glock pistols are carried far more than they are shot. That is why the Glock 17 earns the number 6 spot. It may not inspire poetry, but it inspires confidence. This is a pistol that changed the industry by proving that reliability does not have to be complicated or expensive. Built to run, built to endure, and built to forgive neglect, the Glock 17 is exactly the kind of handgun you buy, trust completely, and never regret owning. Number 7. Heckler Koch USP. If number 6 proved that simplicity can survive anything, then number 7 proves what happens when engineers design a pistol with one clear goal in mind: indestructibility. The Heckler Koch USP was never meant to be pretty, lightweight, or trendy. It was built as a no-compromise fighting pistol, engineered to keep working when conditions turn ugly and expectations drop to zero. This is the handgun designed with the assumption that everything will go wrong, and it still has to function. The story of the USP begins in the early 1990s, when Heckler Koch set out to create a truly universal self-loading pistol. Reliability alone was not enough. Plenty of pistols were reliable under normal conditions. HK wanted something that would survive extreme abuse and continue firing. The result was a pistol that went through some of the most brutal torture tests ever recorded. The USP was frozen solid in ice and fired. It was packed with mud and sand and fired. Most famously, it survived an obstructed barrel test, where a live round was fired through a barrel intentionally blocked by a squib load, and the pistol continued to function. That is not theoretical durability. That is real-world over-engineering. The USP's strength comes from its materials and its recoil system. The polymer frame is not a cost-saving measure. It is a proprietary formulation designed to absorb stress and resist cracking under extreme use. Inside, the USP uses a recoil reduction system that significantly reduces the force transmitted to the slide and frame during firing. Over time, this dramatically extends the service life of internal components. The pistol was designed to handle sustained use with high-pressure ammunition without beating itself apart, something many service pistols struggle with over the long term. Chambered in calibers ranging from 9mm to .45 automatic Colt pistol ammunition, the USP was built to run hot loads without complaint. In .45 automatic Colt pistol form, it earned a reputation for durability that few pistols can match. HK designed the gun with a service life well beyond 20,000 rounds of high-pressure ammunition, and many examples have exceeded that mark without major issues. This is not a pistol that lives on the edge of its limits. It operates comfortably within them. The USP's shooting characteristics reflect its mission-focused design. It is not the softest shooting pistol in its class, but it is controllable, predictable, and consistent. The grip is large, especially by modern standards, but it provides excellent leverage and control. The controls are ambidextrous on many variants, and the pistol offers multiple trigger and safety configurations, allowing agencies and users to tailor it to their needs. Whether configured with a manual safety, decocker, or double-action-only system, the USP remains mechanically robust. Accuracy is solid and repeatable. The USP may not be marketed as a competition pistol, but it delivers dependable accuracy under real-world conditions. It shoots where you aim, keeps cycling when dirty, and does not demand perfect lubrication or constant attention. This is a pistol designed for environments where maintenance may be delayed, and conditions are far from ideal. There are trade-offs, and the USP does not hide them. The pistol is large and somewhat bulky compared to modern designs. The trigger, especially in double action, is serviceable rather than refined. The grip size can be challenging for shooters with smaller hands, but these compromises exist because the USP prioritizes durability above all else. Every ounce, every contour, and every component serves that goal. In terms of price, the USP sits firmly in the premium category. New examples typically range from $950 to $1,200, depending on caliber and configuration. However, police trade-in pistols often represent outstanding value, offering a mechanically sound handgun at a significantly lower cost. These pistols may show cosmetic wear, but they were built to shrug that off. That is why the Heckler Koch USP earns the number 7 spot. This is not a handgun you buy because it feels modern or fashionable. You buy it because you want something that refuses to fail. Built with uncompromising German engineering, proven through extreme testing, and trusted by professionals worldwide, the USP is exactly the kind of pistol you will never regret owning if durability is your top priority. Number 8, Ruger G P100. If number 7 is indestructible through advanced engineering and testing, then number 8 is indestructible through raw, unapologetic strength. The Ruger GP100 is a revolver built on a very old-school philosophy. If you want something to last forever, you make it stronger than it ever needs to be. There is nothing delicate about this handgun, and that is exactly why it earns its place on this list. When Ruger set out to design the GP100, elegance was never the goal. The engineers were not trying to create a revolver that would win beauty contests or impress collectors with polish and fine lines. They wanted a revolver that could handle abuse, neglect, and an endless diet of powerful ammunition without loosening up or wearing out. To accomplish that, Ruger intentionally overbuilt nearly every part of the gun. The frame is a solid, through-hardened steel design with no removable side plate, which eliminates one of the most common structural weak points found in traditional revolvers. From the moment you pick it up, the GP100 feels dense, solid, and serious. Weight plays a critical role in the GP100's durability. Unloaded, most configurations come in right around 40 ounces, depending on barrel length. That mass is not a drawback, it is a feature. The weight absorbs recoil, reduces stress on internal components, and helps keep the revolver mechanically tight over long periods of heavy use. This is a revolver designed specifically to handle .357 Magnum ammunition on a regular basis, not just occasionally. Many handguns can fire powerful loads. Very few are meant to live on them for decades. The cylinder system is another major reason the GP100 has such a strong reputation. Ruger uses a triple locking cylinder that secures the cylinder at the front, rear, and bottom. This creates exceptional alignment and strength during firing, reducing wear on critical components and maintaining consistent timing, even after very high round counts. The crane and ejector system are equally robust, built to resist bending or loosening over time. Gunsmiths often remark that a well-used P100 is rarely worn out. More often, it is simply broken in. Versatility is where the GP100 quietly becomes even more impressive. While it thrives on full-power .357 Magnum ammunition, it will also run .38 special ammunition flawlessly all day long. That gives the shooter flexibility that few pistols can match. You can train with lighter, more affordable loads, enjoy softer recoil, and still know that the revolver is fully capable of handling much more powerful ammunition when needed. That flexibility makes the GP100 both practical and economical over the long term. The shooting experience reflects the revolver's rugged nature. With Magnum loads, recoil is firm but manageable, thanks to the gun's weight and grip design. With .38 special ammunition, it becomes extremely comfortable and easy to shoot, even for extended range sessions. The double-action trigger, while often a bit heavy from the factory, smooths out significantly with use. Many experienced shooters will tell you that a GP100 with tens of thousands of rounds through it often has a better trigger feel than a brand new example, simply because everything is worn in naturally. There are trade-offs, and the GP100 does not pretend otherwise. It is large and heavy, making it impractical for concealed carry for most people. Reloads are slower than with a semi-automatic pistol, unless you dedicate time to training with speed loaders. It also lacks the sleek, refined lines of more traditional revolvers, which some shooters prefer. But none of these were priorities in its design. Longevity was. Everything else was secondary. In terms of cost, the Ruger GP100 remains one of the most honest values in the handgun world. New examples typically sell in the range of $700 to $900, depending on barrel length and configuration. Used models are often an even better deal, offering decades of remaining service life at a reduced price. It is not uncommon to find GP100s that have already fired tens of thousands of rounds and still have a lifetime of use ahead of them. That is why the Ruger GP100 earns the number 8 spot. This is not a revolver you buy because it is fashionable or lightweight. You buy it because you want something that refuses to wear out. Built with deliberate over-engineering, proven through relentless use, and respected by gunsmiths who understand what actually fails over time, the GP100 is exactly the kind of handgun you will never regret buying if your definition of reliability truly means forever. Number 9. Colt Python. If number 8 represents brute strength and overbuilt practicality, then number 9 represents something far rarer: Durability achieved through precision. The Colt Python is often spoken about as a beautiful revolver, and it absolutely is, but reducing it to looks alone completely misses the point. The Python earned its reputation because it combined craftsmanship, mechanical refinement, and long-term reliability in a way that very few revolvers ever have. This is not just a gun you admire, it is a gun that lasts. When the Colt Python was introduced in the mid-1950s, it was positioned as a premium revolver, and that was no accident. Each Python was hand-fitted by skilled craftsmen, with an attention to detail that feels almost unreal by modern manufacturing standards. The internal action was carefully tuned, the lockup was tight, and the timing was precise. That precision is not just about smoothness, it is about consistency. When parts are fitted correctly and stresses are evenly distributed, wear happens slowly and predictably. That is one of the reasons so many older Pythons are still running strong decades later. The Python is built on a heavy steel frame with a thick barrel and a full-length underlug. That underlug is not just a visual signature, it adds weight forward of the hand, helping to control recoil and stabilize the revolver during firing. Unloaded, the Python typically weighs around 40 ounces, depending on barrel length. That mass works in the shooter's favor, especially when firing .357 Magnum ammunition. Recoil is firm but smooth, and muzzle rise is noticeably reduced. Over time, that controlled recoil reduces stress on both the shooter and the revolver itself. The lockup system on the Python is famously tight, especially when new or properly maintained. The cylinder locks securely, alignment is excellent, and the revolver maintains its timing far longer than many competing designs when treated properly. This is one of the reasons the Python developed such a strong reputation for accuracy. The barrel quality, combined with precise chamber alignment, allows the revolver to deliver consistent, repeatable performance. It is not uncommon for shooters to describe the Python as one of the most accurate double-action revolvers they have ever fired. Reliability with the Python comes from refinement rather than overbuilding. It runs .357 Magnum ammunition confidently, but it also handles .38 special ammunition effortlessly. The revolver was designed to operate smoothly across a range of loads, making it versatile for training, duty, or recreational shooting. When maintained correctly, the Python does not beat itself apart. It ages gracefully, which is a rare trait in any mechanical system. That said, the Python does ask more of its owner than some other revolvers on this list. The finely tuned action that makes it so smooth also means it benefits from proper care. It is not a neglect-tolerant revolver in the same way as something like the Ruger GP100. Abuse or improper gunsmithing can throw the timing off if you are careless, but treated with respect, the Python rewards its owner with a shooting experience that few modern revolvers can match. This is not fragility, it is precision. In terms of handling, the Python strikes a balance that many shooters find nearly perfect. The grip geometry is comfortable, the sights are clear, and the trigger pull in double action is famously smooth. Single action breaks cleanly, making deliberate, accurate shots easy. This is a revolver that encourages good shooting habits and rewards skill, which is part of why so many owners form a lasting attachment to it. Price is where the Python's reputation has evolved the most over time. Original vintage Colt Pythons have become highly sought-after collector pieces, often commanding prices well above $1,000, and in many cases far higher, depending on condition and year. Modern production Pythons are more accessible but still sit firmly in the premium category. You are not paying just for a revolver. You are paying for craftsmanship, history, and a design that has proven its longevity. That is why the Colt Python earns the number 9 position. This is not a revolver you buy casually and then forget about. It is a revolver you buy once, appreciate deeply, and keep for life. Built with precision, refined through careful craftsmanship, and proven to endure when treated properly, the Python is exactly the kind of handgun you will never regret buying if you value lasting quality as much as raw durability. Number 10. Smith & Wesson, Model 10. If number 9 represents durability through precision and craftsmanship, then number 10 represents durability through simplicity and time-tested design. The Smith & Wesson Model 10 is not flashy, rare, or dramatic. It never needed to be. This is the revolver that quietly carried the weight of modern law enforcement for most of the 20th century, and it did so with a level of consistency that few firearms in history can match. When people talk about guns that were built to last forever, the Model 10 is one of the clearest, most honest examples. Originally introduced at the very end of the 19th century and refined over decades, the Model 10 became the standard issue revolver for police departments across the United States and around the world. For generations of officers, this was not just a duty weapon, it was a daily companion. It rode in holsters through heat, cold, rain, sweat, and neglect, and it kept working. Departments did not choose the Model 10 because it was exciting. They chose it because it was predictable, durable, and nearly impossible to kill through normal use. The foundation of the Model 10's longevity lies in its straightforward construction. This is a steel-framed revolver with a fixed barrel and fixed sights, built on Smith & Wesson's proven K-frame. There are no unnecessary features, no fragile adjustments, and no complex systems to fail. Everything about the design prioritizes mechanical stability. Unloaded, the revolver typically weighs just over 30 ounces, depending on barrel length. That weight strikes a balance between durability and carry comfort, making it practical for all-day duty use while still being strong enough to handle extensive shooting. Chambered in .38 special ammunition, the Model 10 operates well within its mechanical comfort zone. This cartridge produces manageable recoil, modest pressure, and excellent controllability. That matters for longevity. The revolver is not being pushed to its limits every time the trigger is pulled. Instead, it runs smoothly, consistently, and with minimal stress on internal components. As a result, many Model 10 revolvers have fired tens of thousands of rounds over decades of service without significant wear. It is common to encounter examples that are older than their current owners and still mechanically sound. The shooting experience reflects the revolver's utilitarian roots. Recoil is mild, the gun tracks naturally, and follow-up shots are easy to manage. The double-action trigger pull is smooth and consistent, especially on well-used examples. In fact, one of the most remarkable traits of the Model 10 is how it improves with age. As internal surfaces wear in naturally, the action often becomes smoother and more refined than when it left the factory. This is not a revolver that degrades with use. It matures. Reliability is where the Model 10 truly shines. There is no magazine to fail, no slide to short stroke, and no external safeties to forget under stress. If the cylinder rotates and there is ammunition in the chambers, the revolver will fire. That simplicity is not outdated. It is timeless. It is the reason so many experienced shooters still trust revolvers like the Model 10 as defensive or training tools, even in a world dominated by semi-automatic pistols. Of course, the Model 10 reflects the era it was designed in, and that comes with limitations. Capacity is limited compared to modern pistols, and reloads are slower without dedicated training and speed loaders. The fixed sights are basic, and the revolver lacks the modularity and accessory support of contemporary handguns. But these are not failures. They are trade-offs made in pursuit of durability and reliability. For its intended role, the Model 10 delivers exactly what it promises. In terms of price, the Model 10 remains one of the best values in the handgun world. Police trade-in revolvers are widely available and often surprisingly affordable, frequently selling for a fraction of what modern service pistols cost. These revolvers may show cosmetic wear from years of carry, but mechanically they are often excellent. They were carried every day and shot relatively little, meaning most of their service life still lies ahead. That is why the Smith & Wesson Model 10 earns the number 10 spot on this list. It does not rely on hype, rarity, or legend. It relies on a century of real-world service. This is a revolver that trained generations of shooters, protected countless lives, and proved that the simplest designs often last the longest. If you are looking for a handgun you can buy, trust completely, and realistically pass down without worrying whether it will still work, the Model 10 is exactly that kind of firearm. At the end of the day, these 10 pistols share one thing in common, and it has nothing to do with brand loyalty, nostalgia, or hype. They earn trust the hard way, through war, duty use, extreme environments, and round counts that would retire most modern handguns. These pistols prove they were built to a different standard. They were not designed to be replaced every few years. They were designed to endure. What makes these firearms special is not just that they work today, it is that they were built with the expectation that they would still work decades from now. These are pistols you can train with hard, rely on when it matters, and realistically pass down to the next generation without wondering if they will hold up. In a world full of disposable gear, that kind of longevity is rare. Now the real question is simple. Which one of these would you trust with your life? Drop your pick in the comments and tell us why. And if you appreciate firearms that are built to last forever, make sure you like the video, share it with someone who values real durability, and subscribe for more content that celebrates guns proven by time, not trends.